After 3 years since the 10th anniversary generation, the 11th version of the most popular power racket on the market is here. The Babolat Pure Drive line of rackets has built a strong position during its 30-year run on the market, but gradually started to lose it due to the influx of various competing models. How will the new range cope with the huge competition? In this double review, I will take a look at the two top models, the most popular 300-gram version of the Pure Drive and the 305-gram version Pure Drive 98 with a smaller head. Classic design. The Pure Drive range of rackets has always appeared in one of the many shades of blue. Most of the time, the racket was dark blue with white Babolat stripes on the head. Over the years, however, the design has changed and even a few times the light blue has shone through on the frame. The special 30th anniversary edition released this year is proof of that. New for 2025, it shines with a pearlescent metallic blue combined with the dark navy blue. It looks pretty, but hand on heart, a little more boldness would have gone a long way. Competing rackets are often much bolder in this regard and don't place as much emphasis on design continuity. Just mention Wilson's blade, which is truly unique in design for each generation. At least a small fresh detail can be seen on the neck of the frame. The drive lettering has a thin red line around it, which gives the racket a bit of flair, but you won't see it until you get up close. The Pure Drive 98 version goes a little further in this respect. To differentiate it from other models, the engineers from France have fitted it with red grommets at the top of the head. So when you swing the racket, you'll provoke your opponent into a frenzy, like a bull toreador with a red silk muleta. It's just a shame that the 300-gram model doesn't have this part of the grommets in a different color, light blue as well, like the previous model. The so-called bumper guard on racket head protection is again stretched to the 3rd and the 9th hour of the frame. On the Pure Drive 98 model, this part of the guard is slightly shorter to better follow the smaller frame dimensions. Money saving on parts. So what I am a bit annoyed about is the zero effort to innovate, at least in terms of grommets and head protection. The aforementioned bumper guard has a completely identical design to the previous generation of 2021 rackets. Babolat is trying to minimize the cost of racket production by using old components. This is such a trend in today's world, isn't it? Saving money on every stupid thing. Which of course in high volume can save quite a lot of money. But the excited end customer certainly won't appreciate it. When I think of the new Head Extremes 2024, my eyes light up. The Extremes came with transparent grommets, for example, which may be a small detail at first glance, but it makes the racket unique and fresh even from a distant view. My favorite motto is, "The devil is in the detail." Here, however, you won't get the imaginary devil even if you slice and dice. And so the only devil here is me, to criticize the non-existent new details and the minimal effort at visual innovation. It's like buying a new model of car knowing that it actually looks exactly the same as the one a few years old, just with a different color and maybe a different engine. Maybe. Old technologies with one update. The new Pure Drives feature some of the older technologies that we know from previous versions or models of the Babolat Pure Aero 2023 rackets. The FSE power optimizes hitting power and overall punch even when hitting outside the sweet spot. The HTR system increases the explosive power of the frame with a specific compositional layout. Elliptical frame, the name suggests, refers to the elliptical frame design. It increases the racket stiffness by up to 20% compared to a conventional frame shape. The older SWX Pure Feel technology for pure ball feel is no longer in the new rackets. There is the latest technology innovation, the NF2 Tech 2.0. This technology comes from the Babolat Pure Aero 2023 rackets. However, it is a new second generation. What is its magic? It's called Flex Tape 2.0, which is placed in specific locations around the neck to dampen unwanted vibrations, to improve the overall sound of the racket and feel of the ball. For example, the foam padding of some Wilson or Technifiber rackets frames works in a similar way. However, here it is not a filler, but an additional wrapping or reinforcement of the frame with this material. This wrapping logically results in a more muted feel of the frame in favor of better comfort. Babolat Pure Drive 300 gram version. I've got some stuff going on with the Babolat Pure Drive rackets. I used the older models for several generations from time I was about 16 years old until I was about 35 years old. I used to play with an extended version of the racket that gave the balls even more power. This standard 685mm long version has a 645 square centimeters or 100 square inches head size with a 16 by 19 string pattern. It's balanced at 320 millimeters and with stiffness lower compared to the previous generation with around 66 RA, and the swing weight should be around 320 with strings. The solid swing weight combined with the wider 23, 26, 23 mm frame adds to the racket's excellent stability. And the more stable the frame, the more easy power the racket generates. How does this translate into play? It flies like a sling from the racket again, just like we are used to with pure drives, yet it feels a little bit laggy in some situations. Combined with the time-tested Babolat RPM Blast 1.25mm string, the racket delivers stable performance across the entire range of shots from the baseline. For some reason, I have historically enjoyed Pure Drive a bit more on the backhand, but I gradually built up a solid forehand foundation with them, and the situation turned around. I felt my forehand was stronger, more stable, and more confident with these frames. With the backhand, I lacked a little bit of a better approach to spin. Quite possibly the extended version of the racket may have just helped me with a stronger two-handed backhand earlier. It's nice that you can find the extended version on offer this time as well. Average handling. One of the aspects of the Pure Drive series is their particular heftiness. I don't know if it's the shape of the frame, the width, or the balance, but these rackets feel slower to swing with. My measured swing weight of just 309 for the 300 gram model doesn't suggest this. But there are similarly heavy and balanced competitor frames that swing faster after all. This is probably due to the wider frame profile. It's clear to me that I'm getting older, I'll never get younger. But paradoxically, thanks to a relatively high physic load, I have more strength than when I was young. But apparently I lack explosiveness. It seems to me that the rounder shape of the head and the smaller cutout of the heart of the racket, the neck, creates a slightly higher air resistance. Interestingly, this shows up mostly on the serve, where I feel like there's something holding me back, but I don't want to base a bigger criticism on this, as it is always a highly subjective feeling. Far cry from a spin racket. Back in 2021, I pointed out that Pure Drive rackets are not primarily designed for players who enjoy spin. For them, there's the Pure Aero line of rackets. Dark blue dudes like a more direct style of play without. No wonder Karolina Pliskova is one of the main ambassadors of these frames. Hard hitting from the baseline, minimal effort to slow the ball down, and uncompromising attacking tennis. That's what these rackets are famous for. Boom, bang, rest in peace. I will blow your testicles. Never mind. It's just a bit of a shame that the frames haven't seen more innovation in a direction that reflects the diversity of today's tennis. As usual, the forehand has more leverage because it is played further away from the body, and it is sometimes difficult to control such a hard and powerful frame. The power of these rackets is simply enormous. I enjoy them the most in tough shootouts or in situations where I get charged up, so to speak. In short, your opponent throws a hop on the middle of the court, and with pure drives, it is a pleasure to clean up such a pass. It doesn't matter where. The important thing at the moment is the punch and the speed, which literally paralyzes the opponent. Either you play a winning ball or you set up a situation to finish the rally at the net. The spin potential is average, but that's okay. In general, I like pure drives with more direct shots, where their power comes out to the full. Hit hard and don't care. It may sound like an age-old cliché, but the Babolat Pure Drive 2025, like its older versions, is perhaps the easiest racket to play without feeling underpowered. Balls bounce off these rackets with extraordinary ease. What's more, you can still accelerate with relatively little effort. That's one of the reasons I used to love them so much. The lightness, carefree yet tremendous power of the Pure Drive rackets always managed to do a lot of damage to the opponent's game. A giant with strength of Goliath could stand against me, and yet I was able to literally beat him to death with my hard shots. But this time I feel like the power is not as huge as it was with the previous generations, which is a shame. Maybe lowering the stiffness of the frames wasn't a smart choice. People who expect the over-the-top power and instant reaction of the frame will be a little bit disappointed. Some refer to Pure Drive rackets as cheating frames, much like Pete Sampras once talked about the polyester strings when they first hit the market in 1997. That was the year of Gustavo Kuerten, who won Roland Garros with the first polyester strings from Luxilon, and everyone was speechless and amazed. This is how Pure Drive rackets work. They're so easy to use, and yet the power that comes out of the rackets is incredible. Or at least it was. Fast and furious. With basic strokes where the speed of the ball is drawn from the pace of the opponent's stroke, it is very easy to generate power. With a static serve, I struggle a bit more with gravity. It could also be my serving technique, so there's no reason to panic. However, this year's ATP Tour appearance by Giovanni Mpecci Pericard from France proves once again that Pure Drive rackets are among the most powerful frames on the market. At just 19 years old, his serve routinely reaches a monstrous 230 kilometers per hour or even more. They measured 235 kilometers per hour on his second serve. Returning such a serve is virtually impossible, even for professional players. Yes, Pericard is 203 centimeters tall and weighs around 98 kilos. Yet such a speed of serve is not common even among the elite players of the world top 10. The golden era of serving god Andy Roddick is being revisited. And just like Pericard today, Roddick used guess what rackets? Well, of course, the Babolat Pure Drives. Coincidence? I don't think so. Babolat Pure Drive 98 305 gram version. According to the model name, it is a racket with a smaller head size of 98 square inches or 630 square centimeters for better overall accuracy. But the difference from the aforementioned 300 gram version are far from over. The frame weighs 305 grams without strings. It's balanced a little bit more to the head at 325 millimeters. And the string pattern is now a denser 16 by 20 compared to the older 21 model for better accuracy and ball control. The fairly significant differences are in the width and shape of the frame. The frame has a variable width of 21, 23, 21 millimeters. Measured from the top of the head through the side of the head at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions, the last figure refers to the width of the frame at the neck. Its stiffness should be around 67 Ra, which is exactly the same like with the previous 2021 version. The most significant difference from other Pure Drive's 2025 versions, however, is the shape of the frame at the top of the racket head. From about the 3rd or 9th hour upwards, the frame is square, flat, from a frontal view. This sharper shape gradually transitions into a rounded shape closer to the center of the racket head at the tip. This combination of oval and square is quite unusual. This solution has one purpose: to stabilize the racket head for optimal hitting of the ball at the sweet spot. And in modern tennis, the sweet spot is located at the top of the racket's head, not at the very center of the racket head, as is often mistakenly stated. More solid but more demanding. As you might expect from the specs, Pure Drive 98 offers a more solid playing experience at the price of a relatively perceived difficulty. Beware, this does not automatically mean that the balls fly more from this heavier racket. On the contrary, the racket's punch is the same or lower compared to the 300 gram version with a larger head, but feel-wise, the racket has deeper and overall more pronounced feedback. As such, the feel is more subdued, while you feel more concentrated energy on your hand that you can more accurately transfer to the ball. The result is better ball control on the fast swing as well as more precise ball placement. This more sensually solid expression results in slightly less tolerance for inaccurate hits. If you don't hit the ball the way you're supposed to, it won't fly off the racket as much. Spin potential is also a bit weaker due to the smaller head and one extra short string. However, you will need to develop a faster and more relaxed swing to get the ball over the net. It's just a question of how many players at the intermediate to advanced level can actually produce such tennis. From my point of view, the Babolat Pure Drive 98 is more for a narrower group of experienced and tournament players, for whom the 300 gram model with a larger head is simply too easy and too forgiving. On the net solid, not excellent. Both rackets behave very similarly at the net, with the lighter 300-gram model with a larger head being easier to play with. The easier handling of this frame with faster energy transfer to the ball is especially noticeable on quick reaction volleys. And anyone who plays doubles at a decent level knows that there isn't much time for any comfortable swinging of the racket. A quick, short swing and a hit. That's it. In this regard, I found the Pure Drive 98 a bit sluggish and demanding. The situation is different with Smash, where you can appreciate the greater overall weight and precision of the racket. With Smashes in general, the legs do the main work in cooperation with the eyes. In short, good preparation, balance, spatial orientation and timing are the main drivers of Smashes. And if you can do all that, then the Pure Drive 98 will reward you with a very high quality and accurate smash. Now you just need to do a good count of which strokes actually dominates doubles as such. I would say volleys are more important in that regard. However, in the most tense doubles matches, it is often one or two well played or, conversely, botched smashes that make the difference. Personally, I have a lot of experience with this, and it's failed smashes that have cost me the match more than once. Improved feel for the ball. The stumbling block is a bit of a stumbling block with Pure Drive rackets. Or rather, historically, it always has been. However, the latest generation offers the more perceptive player a slightly better connection between the arm and the racket. The hardness of the frame itself makes them more suited to power tennis. By making the feedback very fast, the hand receives a completely different frequency range of vibrations compared to frames with lower stiffness. The harder the frame, the shorter the duration of ball contact with the strings. The frame reacts immediately to contact with the ball, and your palm, fingers, hand, and consequently the whole arm receive a stronger impulse from the strike in a shorter duration. The softer Pure Drives 2025 are a mixed bag in this sense, so you feel less in control of the ball. The deviation that comes from lowering the stiffness is that you get just an average feedback that compromises the raw power that was always there. But this time these new rackets feel empty, without a soul, like they don't know where do they belong. The creativity of the game, or rather the desire to apply it, suffers a bit. However, it's not terrible, it just feels average. And it's more obvious to me when I have other rackets around to test that do the job a lot better. More flexible frames have the advantage of playing with the ball longer, which means that the ball will stay on the player's hand more. The new Pure Drives are a little bit improving their reputation in the feel category thanks to the linen strip technology and the neck of the frame. You will notice this especially when hitting defensive shots, short, or at the net. It could have been better. I'm poking a little fun at the French now. In my opinion, Babolat is one of the most conservative tennis equipment manufacturers in the tennis world these days. They are capitalizing on the glory of previous decades, and in my opinion they are playing with fire. If it wasn't for Carlos Alcaraz and Holger Rune, one wouldn't know much about their frames. In the world of professional tennis, Babolat rackets are starting to play fourth fiddle. That's because they only have 3 lines of rackets that only move forward minimally with each update. Babolat is so spasmodically following the motto, "Why change what works?" But the competition doesn't sleep. The competition is constantly innovating and pushing tennis equipment to the very limits of what's possible and what's desired. New types of frames are appearing on the racket market that offer the ultimate versatile playing experience. The latest rackets are thus focused on spin, power as well as feel, precision, control, and maneuverability. Babolat still has its three unidirectionally designed racket lines: Pure Strike, Control and Precision, Pure Arrow, Power and Spin, and Pure Drive, Power and Power again. In my opinion, this is no longer sufficient and, more importantly, valid. Tennis is no longer just about accuracy or just about spin or just about power. Tennis has moved to a level we have never seen before, and Babolat should adjust accordingly if it wants to compete successfully with these rackets from brands like Head, Wilson, Yonex, Technifiber, Dunlop, and so on. Which one to choose? For me personally, the standard Pure Drive version with a 100 square inch head size and 300 gram weight is more bearable and more pleasant. It's the kind of racket you pick up and play at your ease. You don't have to think too much about hitting accurate to get the desired result. The main draw is still the very easy power with very good stability. Both rackets work well in both offensive and defensive play, with punchy strikes from the baseline suiting them best. I don't find any huge weaknesses, but at the same time I don't see Pure Drives moving the right direction. In my opinion, they are now getting off the trail where they were dominant so much. It's still a power racket with some minor changes to the feel that makes them just average in every other aspect. If there wasn't such a huge competition around, I would just say go ahead and buy them. But if I know there are better rackets around, why not to point out that this is not the best value you can get for your money? The 98 version is more precise, more solid, but requires quite a bit more effort from the player with each stroke. The spin potential seems limited, but I personally don't mind it so much. You have to take that into account, and again, spin is not the most important thing with these rackets. Babolat should take a slightly different path in the future, in my opinion. A more brave one, should I say. It would be good if Babolat would create a more modern frame that would offer more varied playing options in today's complex world of tennis rackets than just a powerful shots with average feel. Other brands are trying to do this, and they are doing it reasonably well. New lines of rackets, new frame shapes, new types of dampening, and so on. Manufacturers are also often playing with balancing the rackets more in the hand for easier handling. I'm missing that a bit here. If you are a long-time fan of Babolat's Pure Drive line of rackets, don't expect a revolution. You'll get exactly what you're after, but at the same time you will probably miss the stiffer feel that was a trademark for this line of rackets. For long-time owners of these frames, that's my warning point. However, for potential new customers, it's more likely to be just another decent power racket. It's a bit of a bummer that it's very similar to what's been done here several times in the past, but now even in a worse, downgraded package. Pluses of Babolat Pure Drive 2025 tennis rackets. The huge power potential of the rackets. Excellent stability. Suitable for aggressive offensive play from the baseline. They work well in defensive play with tempo changes. Easy to play rackets for a wide range of players. Cons of Babolat Pure Drive 2025 rackets. Gameplay too similar to previous versions, yet feels different. Lower stiffness feels weird for these rackets. Little effort to innovate and use of old components. Racket design deserve more courage. Poor spin potential and slightly worse accuracy. Final verdict, 7 points out of 10. That's all for now, and as always, enjoy tennis, play tennis, watch tennis, and enjoy the manooovrlbity. Bye guys.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious! That ball was on the line!